Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Jade Alberts from Calgary, Alberta. I'm a business strategist, influencer, and brand builder. My passion is helping businesses grow and succeed. Sharing knowledge and stories is why I started the Facebook Live, Telling It Like It Is. It is a live show, so if you have any questions during the broadcast, please ask. We will answer them. If it's after and you're viewing this, don't be scared to ask the questions. We will answer them. I'd like to thank Healthy Heart Sleep Company for sponsoring this show. They are Calgary's premier sleep apnea CPAP company. They are locally owned and have 2 locations. Today's Telling It Like It Is guest is Kim Orlesky, founder and president of KO Advantage. Kim, thank you for joining me, and how are you today?
Oh, thank you for having me, Jade. I am doing fantastic. Thanks so much for asking.
Oh, that's great. I'm excited to have you. I mean, I'm a passionate sales guy, and I know we met on a startup Twitter chat and then had a little phone call, and here we are, probably 2 or 3 months later.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Startup Canada has great like biweekly. I don't even know if you call it biweekly, right? Because it's 2 times a week type of thing that they have different types of chats. We were actively participating on them, but of course, life takes over. But I'm so glad that we're able to create authentic connections even with social platforms.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's connecting and networking is the key to success in company, sales, personal, and we will definitely be getting into that, I'm sure. I'll give a little introduction here of Kim, and then we'll get right at it. She's a president of KO Advantage Group, listed as LinkedIn's top sales influencers and continuously named as one of the top sales leaders to follow. She is Startup Canada's woman entrepreneur and Success Magazine's most inspirational blogger. She speaks internationally, including at North America's largest entrepreneurial event, Inbound, in 2017, 18, and 19, alongside Michelle Obama, Brene Brown, and Deepak Chopra. Her 3rd book, Sell More Faster, is available now. That is obviously one of the most impressive bios I have read, so that is excellent.
Oh, thank you so much. It's a lot of work, a lot of hustle.
And that's good. And that says a lot to your character.
Yeah. And I think no matter what, like, because I'll get people to ask me, yes, we talk a lot about sales, but people ask about, public speaking and putting out books and everything. And, the biggest thing I always say, is if you don't ask, the answer's already no. So you might as well just be constantly, pushing the envelope, right? Hitting that ceiling, going for the higher weight classes.
Oh, there's no doubt there. Higher weight classes is a good thing.
Yeah.
So I guess let's talk a little bit about sales. I mean, I believe sales gets the least amount of focus and training in the company. And that's from my experience, kind of coming up the thing too. So the KO Advantage teaches you a completely new way to approach sales, bringing empathy and conversation to the table. Can you explain this more?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right in that sales has, over the last several years and even maybe decades, sales has kind of gotten a bad rap. And I know this even from my own personal experience. When I graduated university and I was looking for jobs, a recruiter came up to me and said, darling, you don't need to be in finance. She goes, you need to be in sales. And I'm like, I'm university educated. Like, I have a degree. I'm not in sales. So, I mean, we weren't told about what sales is and how important it is to an organization, and how important it is as an entrepreneur to have this skill set. And so, yes, sales has received a really bad rap over the last several decades. When I went in corporate sales, we did a lot of sales training, and they would train us constantly. And it was always based around that business to business logical base, like, hit them where it hurts type of thing, right? We'd have all these crass sayings, right? Strike while the iron is hot, and don't ever let them see you cry, and like all these things. And actually, when I left corporate sales to go do like a little bit of discovery, travel the world, I come back and I realize, oh my goodness. I'm like, this is what so many business owners and entrepreneurs are missing out on. Number one, they need to know sales, but it's not sales in the way that, we're talking boiler room and on the phone and hustle and 100 phone calls a day type of thing. This is about creating honest, authentic connections with the clients and the prospects that we want to deal with, like hand selecting them, understanding what is the emotional conversation that they're going through before they interact with you, and how can you elevate them to make them feel better throughout the entire conversation, ultimately allowing them to choose you as the partner that they want to work with.
Oh no, and that is so true. And you hit the nail on the head, especially with entrepreneurs. A lot of their strengths aren't promoting their company or sales. They're good at what they do, but they just can't seem to get over that hump on how to sell their product and get their word out there. So
They are.
that is such a valid point.
They're passionate. They're passionate. I mean, stay passionate, right? I don't.
Yeah.
I don't want to turn you into a salesperson. Let's get this very clear. You need to know sales skills, right? You need to be passionate about what you do. But number one, don't think that I see too many entrepreneurs that will come to me like, Kim, this is great, and I can't wait to take your training when I have somebody that I can pay to train on. Like, when I have my salesperson, then they will go ahead and take your training. And I'm like, okay, great. I'm like, and number one, how much in revenue do you have to generate to be able to afford an employee? But number two, I'm like, who at the end of the day is accountable to make sure the revenue comes in? Because a lot of entrepreneurs don't understand that this isn't an if conversation, but it's a when. When you're starting off, when you're in the high growth stage, and when you can't pay your employees what you had promised them on payday, right? It's like, it's going to come, it's going to be like a day or 2 days late. I promise you're going to get fully paid. At the end of the day, your employee isn't going to be like, oh, I should have worked harder. They're going to look at you and they're going to be like, how come you can't afford to pay me? And you're the one, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, who is 100% accountable for the revenue that comes in, right? There's nobody else that's going to be pointing their finger when the bills can't get paid, the lights can't stay on, the doors can't stay open. And it's your job to make sure that the revenue is always coming in, right? There's a reason why on in income statements, sales and revenue are synonymous, right? You cannot build a business without sales, without revenue, all the way through. Sorry, I was on a soapbox.
Oh, no. And it's and the number one analytic in a business is the bottom line. And if you're not bringing in money and you're not bringing in sales, you're not going to have a business to promote. So, I mean, sometimes people forget that. And it's
bottom line. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, right? I mean, we want profit, but we need the revenue. We need sales before everything else.
Oh, absolutely. So I guess that kind of rolls right into our second question. I mean, what sets your training apart, and do you work with all different size organizations?
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of things that set us apart, right? So the first thing is we are the fastest growing sales training program specifically for entrepreneurs and business owners that are selling services into businesses. So the people that we typically work with are engineers, project managers, HR consultants, marketing agencies, IT specific firms, or software developers. It's because at the end of the day, it is so hard to sell something invisible to somebody, right? How do you value, project management playbook, right? How do you value business consulting at the end of the day, right? When nobody can actually touch and feel it. So we know that the people that are coming in are business owners first and foremost. So we train them not as like every sales program that I've seen up until this point that even promote themselves as the sales training for businesses aren't set up for a business, right? They're like, come to our environment and sit in our classroom for 3 days. And I'm like, who can do that? Right?
Not me.
I'm like, I have a hard time carving out an hour in my calendar. I can't imagine somebody asking me to carve out 3 days. And even the ones that I'm seeing where they're like, we're only half day sessions. They're like, it's a half day from 9 until 2. And I'm like, that's still a full day for me. It's going to take me an hour to get there. It's going to get me an hour to get back. I'm like, don't call it a half day, right? Just because it takes up like 4 hours. That's a full day, right? So we do ours through an online medium. It's an online classroom. It's not e-courses. You still have an instructor. You still see all your classmates. We're learning all the way through. We include the conversation around emotional intelligence and empathy because the research has shown us it is so impactful in the business to business sales conversation. We have ignored it for far too long. And with technology taking over and automation taking over, it is more critical today to be emotionally connected with our clients than it ever has been before. Because if you're trying to sell on logic, a robot is going to take over your job. And the third one that actually sets us apart more than anything else is that we are the only program that 100% guarantees our results, right? Everyone else will say, oh, we can't guarantee that because it's not up to us. It's up to you to determine what you want. But I read a book a couple years ago, and it says, if you're going to do anything bold, if you want people to believe you, put a guarantee in place. And I struggled with this because I'm like, how do I guarantee the results for somebody if I don't know how? And And then I started to open myself up. I said, well, what if, like, what would it be if I did guarantee? What would it look like? And all of a sudden it started to form out. And so he said, you know what, if we're training people over the course of 10 weeks, right, we're watching them do the work, we're asking them to be accountable to us. We should be, over the course of 10 weeks, we should know you're doing it or you're not, or you need additional support or you don't, right? We want to see you succeed first and foremost. So if we say, you know, if you finish the program and for whatever reason you don't sell what you've invested in us, we invest back in you, right? If you don't make back in the amount of revenue of what you've already committed to us, the first thing is you actually get to work with me free of charge, right? And people will pay me $4,100 to work with me. And so now you're getting that for full 3 months. And if for whatever reason now my program has failed you, my team has failed you, and I have personally failed you, we put our money where our mouth is and we triple the money back. Right? We want to write you a check and say your time and the amount that you have committed to us is worth something. And that tells us that we need to do better for you.
And then that is impressive. And I love that. And if anybody wants to, check out Kim's website, it is in the comments section. You can just click on it. It's Orlesky.com. So, I mean, that is impressive. I mean, not too many people will put their money where their mouth is, so to say. And that's a big step. And I love that.
I think we need to, right? I think in any type of business, like at least tell your client, what are you guaranteeing? Right? Like no matter what, this is what I guarantee, right? I guarantee that you're going to have a great action plan, right? I guarantee that if you implement this action plan, you're going to be able to get a certain level of result, right? Because if you can't guarantee it, I mean, why are people investing in you? That they're spending with you because I'm putting the money there and I don't know where it's going to go. Investing says I'm going to put the money there, my time, my energy, some other type of limited resource, and I am expecting to become better than I ever was. And I want people to know that that is what we guarantee at the end.
And that is awesome. So I guess that would probably roll right into your marketing plan. You obviously must advertise that, use that. Is that what also differentiates you in your marketing side? Do you focus on that a lot, or what do you do to get your name out there?
So I hate to be the person that is going to perpetuate the sales and marketing are bad enemies. But I kind of am, right? So, my marketing, literally sucks. And I'm sure I'm going to get like a lot of requests from people and be like, I would love to do your marketing for you. And I welcome it because, timing is everything, right? And the timing might not be right today, but it might be right in the future. But we build our business after exactly what we teach our students to do, right? And I live in this really cool meta space. I was actually going for lunch with our corporate yesterday, and he's like, I love what you do. He's like, you sell and then you pay, you charge people to do exactly what you did to them, right? And I said, well, no, it's with them, number one. I'm like, but yes, I live in this really cool meta space in that, we do exactly what we tell our clients to do. And so we built the business. Like I built just over a year and a half ago to now like 5 employees, pushing, $500,000 and plus in a year and a half. Just through this, like through face-to-face, shaking hands, kissing babies, connections, phone calls. How do we connect with you? How do we understand you better than everyone else? Like 100% of our students right now have in some way heard me speak. Right? 100% of my students right now have in some way connected with me or someone on my team live, virtually, face-to-face in some type of interaction. And we could not be where we are today just trying to do everything through automated systems. And that probably works for some business models, but we're talking about working with those that are high value service providers. We are selling $5,000, $10,000, $100,000, $1 million in like one price ticket items type of thing. Right? You cannot do that by trying to throw people through an automated email campaign. Nobody is going to buy your $10,000 service without ever being voice to voice with you.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and I truly believe, and people that have watched this have heard me say, we are losing that face-to-face in today's digital world. And that is a key, in my opinion, to growing business, to networking, to becoming, to improving yourself. So,
yes.
So I know I want to touch on one little thing that you mentioned there about the sales and the marketing department. And I see this all the time, right? I come in and I'll help organizations and make sure the sales is talking, to the marketing department. Is this a lack of communication between departments? Do you see this a lot with the organizations?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. 100%, right? And I think the biggest thing is that they're not looking at each department as being positive feedback loops to each other, right?
Yes.
You know, this is a chicken and egg conversation. This isn't who comes first type of thing, right? You know, and most people, I mean, if it really came down to it, right? I mean, I would say if you had to start your business, if you were starting your business from scratch, start with the sales first, and then allow the sales conversation to lead into the marketing conversation to lead into the sales conversation, and back and forth all the time, because you're going to be you're going to be much more articulate in the marketing messaging when you already know that Jade, as my client, has, you know, positively been impacted by this conversation, right? Or this is Jade's story. And when I tell a marketing message, I don't want to be blanket statement, be like, listen, you're going to work with me for business coaching because we're going to help you become more profitable. Wah, wah, like you and everyone else, right? I mean, it's going to fail, right? But when I say, listen, the reason why Jade worked with me for business consulting was because he grew his business from $60,000. He was hovering around that for the last 3 years. And then we went in, we transformed his entire business. And within 6 months, he turned into a $250,000 revenue generating company. And he can see that going closer to $2.5 million in the next 2 years. Oh, now I have a story, right? Now you're telling me something, and I don't have to be exactly where Jade is, but it connects with me. And then we go back and we tell that story to somebody, we sell them, and it goes back, right? And so the communication is so important between marketing and sales. And when we do our sales program and our sales training, when I have teams come up to me, oftentimes we'll get like an engineering company, for instance, right? Or we'll have a IT firm that will come up to me. And they say, okay, well, we don't really have a dedicated sales team, so we probably only need 1 or 2 people to go in there. I say, everyone who is customer facing, right? Your customer engagement person, your marketing person, your salesperson, all need to know this conversation, right? Because this is going to start to open up those lines of communication. And when you know what the salesperson is saying, the marketing person can take that and grab that, because ultimately we're going to have the client engagement person continuing that conversation in order to continue to grow the business, cross-sell, follow up. Like it's a flywheel.
Oh, yeah. So
right. And we need everybody churning on this, not just one department pushing their own wheel at the same time.
Well, and that is, I mean, I worked with one company, you know, when I kind of first got into sales, and the technicians knew just as much about the sales as the reps did. And we as reps had to take the technical training. So if we ever walked in there, we can go to the client and saying, oh yeah, I can fix this problem for you. Not just saying, oh, I'll get somebody in here and charge you more money. It's basically, it's like, as you said, it is that person to person connection. And once they know that you can help them and you'll do it free of charge and so forth, that is bang on. I mean, I love that about what you offer.
Oh, thank you. So do my students.
So what's next for you and KO Advantage?
So we are working on some massive projects. So in my bio, you had said that, you know, we're launching the book. So yes, it's been a very long process. It's my 3rd book, but this is entirely around my sales platform. So that is available. If you are in Calgary, if you're watching this from Calgary, we have an office at Work Nicer's new Red Mile location. We're having our open house tomorrow. So come down, free co-working for the entire day. We're right on 17th Ave, right upstairs from National on 5th Street. And if you come by and say hi to me, I might have a present for you. So come by. The other big projects that we have going on is that we are going to be launching a web series, which is really exciting, because one of the things that we had a lot of our feedback from our students come back was that, Kim, this didn't just change the conversation that I was having with my clients, but it changed my life. Like I was able to connect better with my friends, with my family, because when we teach you how to use your language and how to ask the right questions to connect deeper, most people are afraid of asking those questions to their clients right away. So they will test it with their friends and their families and their loved ones first, right? Let's just see how this rolls. And what they do is they come back and they're like, oh my goodness, this works. And I'm like, of course it works, right? Like this is what we teach. And so we wanted to share that story. So We're currently in the processing of vetting some participants for this, right? If this is something that you want to be featured on a web series, you want us to follow you as you learn the sales process, and you want a camera in your face, also come see us, because it's going to be a really amazing project. We have some great sponsors, some great participants already on board, and I'm just looking for those people that are going to help make everyone's heart sing.
Oh, that's awesome. And I love the fact that, I don't know who used this term or where I heard it, but you're thinking outside the office, and that is really cool. And that's not because you work, or you're at work nicer. And I love Alex and what he does, and he's been on this show as well, and promoting co-working, and which is awesome. So that is great. I'm so looking forward to seeing that web series. I think that's going to be priceless.
Oh, thank you. I am over the moon excited. We've
Should
had
be.
some amazing feedback so far. And that's a labor of love project.
Yeah.
And, but I really believe that, like going back to the original conversation, sales has been getting a bad rap. And when we can show people that we're not just talking about how do we hustle, right? But rather, how do we connect? It's going to transform the sales conversation.
Oh, that is great. That is awesome. I am so looking forward. And I know you've been beta testing LinkedIn Live. Which is really cool. I've been watching that. And your is it Wine Wednesdays?
Wine Down Wednesdays. Yes.
Wine Down Wednesdays.
Yeah, so today's guest is going to be Sean Freeman from TWT. We're going to enjoy a glass of wine, a bottle of beer, and we're going to just talk about sales process. And really, how did he go from just himself? Because, here's the reality, you guys. Everyone started in their basement or the garage or something somewhere, right? But how did you go from there to 10 million plus, right? And how did you use sales and revenue and client conversations to project yourself that far?
Yeah, that is cool. So anybody, you can log on to Kim's website. Again, it's in the comments section, kimorlesky.com. You'll be able to find the links to her LinkedIn stuff. So the last question I have is the same one I ask everybody, and I truly believe it's a very important question. If you had one piece of advice for startups, entrepreneurs, small business, what would it be?
Get more face-to-face client conversations, you guys, right? Sales is the be-all, end-all, and you need to be prospecting all the time, because if you're growing your business on referrals, network, and everything else like that, and you're not prospecting, it might not be a problem today, but I can guarantee you it's going to be a problem in 60 and 90 days in the future. So constantly be out there networking, constantly be out there. And if you need additional support, come see us. I'm always available. I'm happy to give my time away just to do a 20-minute sales strategy session with you.
Oh, that's awesome. Sales drives everything, and that is awesome. And I really appreciate you coming on, sharing your story, sharing your knowledge, with us today. Thank you so much, Kim.
Thank you so much for having me, Jade. I really appreciate it.
Yes, and thank you to Healthy Heart Sleep Company for sponsoring this. They have 2 locations in Calgary. Support local. They are the premier CPAP sleep apnea company. So thank you again, Kim. And I hope to see everybody next week. Have a great week. Bye-bye.